Check. It's
Welcome.
another episode of Stuck in the Middle podcast.
I'm
Reflex.
AK.
Yeah, man. It's Sunday.
Yes, sir.
You already know what that means, bruh.
Another episode of Stuck in the Middle.
Yes, sir. How's your week been?
Man, it's been great, man. It's been great. I mean, can't complain. What about you?
Nah, it's last week it was good. It was good. Long days of work. Friday was long.
Yeah, Friday
man.
was long.
I was like, is this minutes, hours? Like, it was crazy, but I was looking forward to today's podcast though for special reasons. But I'm sure it's gonna be very informative. And,
very. Yeah.
Glad our guest could join us. If you can do us the honors of introducing our guest.
Yeah, most def, man. To the building, we have the creator and founder of Kweli TV and also EM Power Magazine. EM Power Magazine. She's also the radio host.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome DeShuna Spencer to Stuck in the Middle podcast.
Welcome to Stuck in the Middle podcast, yo.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yo, like for people who might be watching right now, listening, who is DeShuna Spencer?
Who am I? That's a really good question.
What I'm saying? Where else can we start? Yeah.
I'm a regular person. Like, it's interesting when you start something, people put you like on some type of, I say, artificial pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a regular person with big dreams, but I'm from Memphis, Tennessee originally, born and raised. Dad's a truck driver. Mom was a teacher's assistant. Lived in a lower middle class family growing up, and I went to college at Jackson State University, studied communications and journalism. When I was there, I wanted to start a business, but I wasn't really sure kind of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial idea was an online magazine, which I did start eventually when I was like 25. But then I decided to migrate over to start Kweli TV, mainly because, as we all know, with the whole industry with online media, it's very difficult to start like an online magazine now. So I decided to really, as they say, pivot to streaming. So I'm just a regular person from the South originally who now lives in DC area, just trying to make her dreams come true. I mean, that's who I am.
How long you been in DC area?
Gosh, like 10 years. I've been here for a minute.
You came to start Kweli TV, or was just like, I just want to move?
Well, so I moved here because I started this. So I lived in the South, and then I came here because I did AmeriCorps Vista. And when my year ended, I was looking for a place to go. I was looking for New York City mostly. I knew I wanted to start, as I said, like initially an online magazine. Mm-hmm. And then my boyfriend, or husband, he was like, "You thought about DC?" I was like, "Not really." So I started looking for jobs, and I ended up getting a job in Silver Spring, Maryland, working as a communications manager at 24, which was like, I was being a manager at that young age, having like an assistant, being in charge of, everything from freelance writers to the budget was something I'd never done before.
Right.
So it was a really great experience for me to actually learn how to work in business and actually run the business besides just creating content, but actually managing content. That was something new for me.
Yo, so reason why you're here is because of Kweli TV.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy dope platform.
What does Kweli mean?
Yeah. It means truth in Swahili. So when I came up with the idea for Kweli, I was trying to figure out like what I need to find a really dope name. And it's interesting because people say, well, there's so many like different African. I knew it would be African language, and people ask me, why Swahili? And, well, mainly because if you ask people who aren't African, like name some languages, like African languages, I think the only one people can name would be Swahili. And so I wanted to pick a language I think people had heard of before, and also wanted to have a name that had a message to it. And so as a person of African descent, I was really frustrated with a lot of images we see in mainstream media, and I want to show truth. I want to show authentic stories. I didn't want to show the same stories over and over again, and so that's why I started Kweli TV. I really wanted to show the truthfulness of our community no matter where we are in the world, and that's where the name came from. I wanted something really quick and really kind of cool. Yeah. Kweli TV kind of slides with the tongue very easily as well.
So did you have like a English, like you came up with an English name and then you found somebody to translate to Swahili, or because I'm just trying to understand how you got Kweli TV. I
was looking authentic, real. I was looking for words like that, and some of the words were just too long for me. And I was like, I wanted something really short and sweet and to the point. And that's how I came up with it. I knew I wanted to be truth, the real, authentic. It was one of those words, and And just Kweli, I was like, well, it's Talib Kweli. So, so a lot of times people don't like, how do you pronounce it? Just think of Talib Kweli, like the rapper. Oh, okay, yeah. Then people get it then once you say that. So,
what were some of the challenges that you had, like initially going into it? Like,
I have.
Oh, that you
present tense.
Yeah. First of all, though, like, so just reiterate what, Kweli TV is and what you're trying to do,
Yeah. So it's a streaming service similar to Netflix. I hate to use the N word, Netflix word. But it's similar to Netflix, where you focus on the African diaspora. So we have independent films, documentaries, web shows, news, children's programming from the entire African diaspora. So for North America, Europe, Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa, all streaming in one place. As I mentioned, Kweli means truth. So our whole mission is to curate content that's a true reflection of the Black experience, no matter where we are in the world. So that's what we are. As far as who we are, as far as challenges, I think anytime you start something from scratch, there's always a challenge. I remember really being naive about starting this streaming service before. Like I said, I started had my online magazine, and like you start online magazine, even now if you start like a podcast, you can find books on how to start a podcast. You can find resources online. I'm sure it's probably a book like How to Start a Podcast for Dummies, right? There is no How to Start a Streaming Service for Dummies. Like there is no book. There's no roadmap. Right. Netflix really isn't giving out the playbook on how to start a streaming service. Exactly, yeah. So it was extremely difficult. I didn't know anything about trying to get content. I knew I wanted independent films. Like, how do I find these independent films? So initially, I went out to film festival. I couldn't afford, email film festivals. Because I couldn't afford, still quite can afford. And say, hey, I have this streaming service I want to start. I want to work with you. And it was interesting because like no one emailed me back. And so I was like, okay, yeah, well, that's a part of being in business. Like you start something and no one emailed you. Who are you? Why are you, emailing me? You're not any, and so I was like, okay, I need to go another route. And so I just started to try to reach out to filmmakers personally. And before we had a finished website, we had 30 filmmakers who signed up with us before we had. That's
like even before y'all.
I know, it was crazy. Like these strangers who didn't know me from Adam just believed in my vision because I was so passionate about it. And they trusted me with their content. So I take it very, very seriously. So the challenges have just been trying to figure out how to make sure that things don't buffer. Those simple things that customers need to know that, the video plays all the way through, or the Roku app works, right? There's like a blessing and curse about like technology these days, right? The blessing is that with a little bit of money and a few resources, you can put yourself out there. But the curse is that people assume that you're as big as Netflix. We get emails all the time like, well, Netflix is on, my Wii, from 1990, whatever, or my PlayStation, whatever. And I'm like, well, of course I say it in a nice way, like, well, ma'am, well, sir, we're a startup company. We just quite can't get to your Wii yet, but we are on these platforms. I think people assume that we're on everything.
Yo, that's dope, though. That people are paying attention and they want it on film.
I wish we could. Like, the thing is, like, it's extremely expensive. So people assume, like, you create one app and then you just post.
So where are you on right now?
We're on Roku, Apple TV, and Google Play.
Oh, you're on Apple TV?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I gotta check
you got Apple TV, right?
Apple TV.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, all right.
I'm watching this. I was thinking, I was like, dang, like, I don't got Roku. I got Chromecast. Isn't Chromecast?
Well, so it's Chromecast compatible. So you can just, like, screen share it from your phone to your Chromecast.
So you got an app?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, it's in the beta version right now?
So we're out of beta. We just went out of beta like 2 months ago, which was a feat within itself. Talk about challenges. It was mostly technology. I'm not a technical founder, so I just I couldn't code myself, so I relied on other people to do coding for us. And it just took much longer than we wanted. It was just much harder than anyone had ever anticipated, but I'm just happy, the progress we've made so far.
So you solo on this, or you have a business partner?
So I'm a solo founder, which is kind of like
generational wealth. She's securing the bag. That's what we're. Like it.
I'm hoping for generational wealth. We can talk about that a little bit later too. But I'm a solo founder. I do have people on my team, but I did, come with the idea of my own. But it's really hard finding team members sometimes because people, think we're bootstrapping. So it's like we have like these big investors. We're able to pay people globs of money. It's just a few of us. And when things don't happen as fast as you would like for them to, people can get tired and frustrated, which is totally understandable. I'm in it for the long haul. It's my company. So, of course, I'm going to be in it to win it. But for the people, hey, they have families. They have things they need to do. So I totally understand if they can't. But speaking of generational wealth, which is speaking of like we're talking about like how you want to pass things over. I don't have kids yet, but I do think about that. You think about people of African descent, we don't really own a lot, especially when it comes to media. We sell our companies off, or I don't know, we don't really pass things down, not because we don't want to, because we just haven't really had the opportunity to own. And so this is extremely important to me, to have something to actually own and say I own it, and I can pass this down, or whatever the case may be, because it's so important for us to own our own content, own our own narrative, own our own history, own our own future.
That's facts,
man. That's facts.
Right.
Like you're a double minority. You're female, and you're also black.
Right.
And I mean, like how just in the topic of challenges, and owning a business, a media business. Like, did you think about those things, getting into it, and how have you been able to navigate that? Have this dope platform that you have?
It has been challenging. So when I started Kweli, before that, the study came out, I want to say like last year, about Black female founders. It's something I didn't know. So the study shows that only
and it's crazy because you're in the tech too.
Yeah. So the study said that 0.2% of Black women get VC funding.
Dang.
So for those who don't know, VC is venture capital funding. 0.2%. That's less than 0.5%. And so I didn't know this initially. If I would have known this going in, would it have like deterred me? Probably not. But at the same time, I didn't realize it would be so difficult to get funding. I just had no idea. You read these articles about, the other guys, these white boys with like something in their napkin and, like, okay, they get funding. So the formula is, if you start a company, you get traction, you prove that there's a market fit for it, you get money, right? It's like, okay, I can do that. Well, I wasn't sure, I'll be honest. Like I started Kweli and I did the beta and I was nervous, would it just be my mama, watching, my husband, you just don't know. And then we went to beta, and all these people who I didn't know were digging in, like, this is dope, we love it. And I'm thinking, okay, great, so now I'm going to get money. We have traction.
Right.
But despite the traction, I would meet with investors, but it was just hard getting the money. And so I spent most of 2016, trying to move investors. It just wasn't happening. And I just decided to focus more on the company and not focus on investors. The investors want to come, they'll come. But right now, I want to grow my company. I want to make sure we're building something that our customers will be proud of, and not focus on just trying to get a whole bunch of VC funding. Because at the end of the day, people who get VC funding, they get all this this press, like they raise this amount of money. Okay, so you raise money, but can you make a profitable company? Is it, so for me, I want to be profitable. I want something that customers actually want, not something that VC think they'll make a lot of money out of, and then you will sell in a couple of years. So yeah.
What are your marketing strategies?
A lot of it has been social media and word of mouth, especially during beta. We're bootstrapped, so it's not like we can, go to like, some major network and then have like a commercial. We can only use social media at this point to really focus on how to reach our customers. So we use, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, word of mouth. We have a lot of people like, I heard about you and I just, I wanted to learn more. It's interesting, word of mouth, as far as like outside of the U.S. Like I meet people, well, not me, but people email me from other parts of the world. It's like, well, I heard about Kweli. Like, really? In Brazil? Like, how? Like, how did you find out? Yeah, someone else told me about you. And so, it's a word of mouth really is taking us quite far as well.
Man. So for you, saying like, somebody might be listening right now and it's like, yo, man, like I'm doing not something similar to what you're doing, female, entrepreneur, whatever. And would you say word of mouth is just a way to go? But like as far as like advice, people who want to venture in entrepreneurship.
Advice is, it's, so there was a quote, I don't know the exact quote, but they talk about businesses fail when people decide to give up. And I think that's true in a certain sense, because there have been times, especially last year, where we were like on the brink of like, oh my God, will we be able to continue on? And I decided to try to keep things going no matter what. So my advice would be to tell people to just try to focus on, what the main mission is of your company, and try not to deter from that. And then just really try not to quit no matter what. Just do what you need to do to try to keep it going, because it's not going to be easy. If you're expecting it to be, you hear these stories about someone writing something down on a napkin and they get all this money and then they make it. You know, those Uber stories are not, you know, it's not how it happens for a lot of people. For most people, it takes years and years and years of dedication, grinding, hearing nothing, hearing a bunch of no's over and over again. I get so many no's, you know, I get so many rejections, and it gets depressing. So, but then you had to keep going. So, like, case in point, like, I won like this pitch competition at Harvard. I won quite a few.
You've
actually.
won a ton of
crazy
pitches, and you know what I'm saying, like, that was just one of my questions actually. Like, the Harvard one was 10K.
Yeah, it was 10K.
Like,
that was so like dope because, like, first of all, it's Harvard. I mean, not to put in like any school in pedestal, but I went to Jackson State University. I am from Memphis, Tennessee, and so pitching in front of a bunch of, you know, Harvard MBA students, it's like scary.
Yeah,
It was very scary.
Yeah.
I woke up that morning. The pitch wasn't until like 2. I woke up 5 a.m. So this is what I typically do for people who want to do pitches. Like, practice. Usually I practice for hours on end. Like, I got up at 5 a.m. I started practicing. I practiced in front of the mirror from 5 a.m. to like noon. I took a break, ate a sandwich, and then I started by pitching again in front of the mirror until like 1. And I got there like, where are you, DeShuna? I kind of got there a little late, and I was still practicing in my head. Yeah, I practice.
How long was it, the pitch?
It's 5 minutes, and they had like a little thing, like they're like flashing. Yeah, so I'm like doing my pitch off the top of my head, and you see like 2 minutes left. Oh my god! Yeah, so I'm trying to get everything out.
You've done a couple.
Yeah,
a number of pitches.
Yeah,
and won a ton.
Yeah, every pitch competition I'm in, I typically win. I win every single one.
Do you pitch the same thing you practiced?
Yeah, I mean, everything, like, the numbers change. You have more subscribers. You have more partnerships. So of course that changed. But overall, the story behind why I started the company doesn't change. So I know that, like, don't please ask me to pitch now. You don't have to put me on the spot.
I was just going to, like, you know, just give us the
and
you know, say, like, for people, it's like, yo, like, that's dope. I want to do a pitch, or like, you know, like, how, like, you know, like, I guess
you have to practice. You do not go in there and code. It's really interesting when people go code, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I practice all night long. I practice, but I just want to make sure I get it right. It's money. I don't have any, you know, if you don't have investors and you only get money from pitching, when you pitch, you get on stage, you want to rock it. You want to kill it. So I pitch, I meditate, I pray before I go on stage. You know, I'm like, well, God, let me make sure I say the right thing, make sure I remember my numbers, and the whatever judges ask me. Another thing too, you know, if you're listening, you want to do pitches, make sure that because after you pitch, typically they have like a segment for like judges can like ask you questions, and if you don't know your stuff, you won't get the money. Yeah. They ask you like something simple, like, okay, what's your marketing strategy, or, you know,
kind of like Shark Tank.
Yeah. And if you like, you know, stumbling, then you're not gonna get the
take
money.
this joint on Shark Tank. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of money, right?
Yeah.
$5.99 for subscription, right?
Right.
How did you derive that number, $5.99?
So it was interesting because I was looking at some of the mainstream ones, and I wanted to not beat it the same prices they are. I wanted to make sure. So studies show that at least most Americans have 2 streaming pay services. So I know that people will get Netflix, right? And then we do have subscribers. I'm not getting Netflix anymore because now there's a black version. All right, fine. We're not telling you to unsubscribe to Netflix, but what we are saying is that, you know, we can be the supplement to your Netflix, right? You know, we can be the space you can watch black content. So that's where the $5.99 came about, because we want it to be enough where we can make money, but not
you want to get that discount, fam. You know, you start a business, black people are like, yo, can I get that discount? Sorry, I'm just kidding.
No, people do. Like, yo, you know, well, but like I said, some people do want the you know, the family discount. And when you're black, no matter where in the world, we're all family. We all want the family discount.
Yeah. That's crazy. So still sticking on numbers, you know, on the back end, and not trying to get in your bag, in your pocket, but, you know, saying the money you're getting from like this pages and stuff, how do you you know, distribute that as far as like running this, as far as like acquiring film, or, you know, the subscriptions to Roku and stuff like that?
So we use the money's being used for like marketing, you know, even like on social media. We post on social media, but for nowadays, if you just post something on Facebook, 2 people will follow it. If you have like 1 million followers, so we do a lot of paid posts. We do a lot of, other things like trying to get new content. We use it to build our app. So like, as I mentioned, when we were in beta, it was just like our website. And then we had to hire someone to get us in more places. So to get us on Roku, to get us on Apple TV and Google Play. As I mentioned, to be on all those platforms, it's not like, oh, okay, I'm just going to create one app and then it's going to be, dispersed everywhere. You have to literally pay a different developer for each individual app. So it costs a lot of money to do that.
Yeah. So, just your hand is, in a couple different places. We mentioned earlier, you have Empower Magazine, and you do Empower Hour on
89.3 FM.
Yeah, if you're in the DC area, man. What times does it come on?
It's every Thursday from 2 to 3.
Yeah,
and we talk about social justice issues, so lots of different topics.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's very important to me. I love to talk and I care about the community. So for me, it's a really great way to feel like I'm doing something, despite what's happening here in the country and around the world.
So, like Empower Magazine and Empower Hour, are you an activist?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not like. I don't have a bullhorn and screaming, walking down the street. I definitely commend those people who do that. Mine is just in a different way.
Yeah. How so?
Through media. I'm not the person who's gonna maybe lock hands in City Hall, but I definitely want to document that. I definitely want to be the person that's using media to talk about those issues and amplify those voices who do have a bullhorn and they are walking down the street, screaming, we should not be moved, or the other chants.
Because your Instagram page is just filled with like different, like things that are going on pretty much in the community right now, society right now. So that's pretty deep.
Yeah, that's important. I think I'm not really into entertainment, gossip stuff. That's just not something I care about. So I really do try to fill my Instagram with things that are of substance. I'm not really good at selfies either. People are like, you should post more of yourself. I'm like, why? That's just not my speed. So I'd rather just spend that time doing something that's of substance.
Yeah. Right. Where were you when? Go ahead. Sorry.
I want to take it back to like the subscriptions and stuff. So the people could actually know what they're getting. How much they're paying and all that. Right. So you have monthly and you have yearly subscriptions. Yes. Could you break that down?
Yeah. So monthly is $5.99 a month. Annual is $49.99. So I think you save about $21 if you do annual. And we do have rentals. So it's $3.99 per rental. So if you don't feel like committing to Kweli, then you can rent for $3.99.
What do you mean rent?
Rent or VOD. So you can get it for 24 hours and then you can watch it for up to 24 hours and watch it over and over again for 24 hours and then you can't watch it anymore. So you can also do that as well. But most people are subscribers. We don't really have that much rental. People don't rent as much. People do actually commit to us, which is really awesome.
Right.
Yeah. You say Kweli is a place where, conversations among each other, amongst us in the community, Black folks can create change.
Right.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like
through media.
Through media, right. So why should Africans in the diaspora should be paying attention to Kweli TV or even back home?
I think it's so important because I always tell people, like, being African American, I always felt like slighted. I think all of us are slighted in a way. Because of, the slave trade, because of the colonialism, we've been sort of disconnected. In my opinion, we've been segmented and dispersed around the world. And because of that, in America, because of, the slave trade, that the parts of African culture still came with us. It was through music, it was through dance. And you go to parts of the world, you go to the Netherlands, you go to parts of Latin America, you can see remnants of Africa there. But we're not connected, right? And I really feel like this is a space for people of African descent can come together. It's not about, well, this is my country, this is my city. We're the same blood, and we're all from the same continent, at the end of the day. And so even if for my ancestors, I don't know when they came over on the slave ship, but they came from Africa. And so I really want to tell our stories and be a space in which we can all come together as a community, because no matter where we are in the world, we're all disenfranchised, no matter what, because of other forces came in, raping the community, raping our country, raping our countries. or stealing our people. And so I really want to be the space we can bring us back all together.
Now you're doing that like in the best and
Right.
possible wherever, with Kweli, and also with Empower Magazine and Empower Hour is super dope. I respect it tons, yo.
And really just telling different stories. When you hear about black men, they're thugs, or they have a bunch of babies and they don't take care of them. Or if you're African, that means you're poor, you have flies in your faces, and you live in some hut or whatever.
Yeah.
I know lots of Africans who don't live like that, and but growing up, I didn't know. I'll be honest. I mean, growing up in Memphis, I didn't know. I couldn't believe what the Save the Children commercials told me, right? Until you start getting older, like, oh, okay, wow, it's a very diverse continent, and I want to tell those stories. I want to really dispel those myths about what we see in mainstream media about Africans and African Americans, no matter where you are and you're black around the world.
Yeah. February is go ahead.
Nah, I was gonna say I be playing with people. Yeah, like I be messing with people's heads when they be like, "Yo, did you grow up with lions?" I be like, "Yeah, man, I had a pet one." I told one of my coworkers, the other time, he was like, "Yo, so did you see lions?" I was like, "Nah, the first time I saw a lion was when I went to the zoo here in the district."
Yeah. Just like everybody else. Although you see the pictures of Abu Dhabi.
You know what I mean?
The dudes like we see some pictures of Abu Dhabi though. The dudes really have like a tiger in the car.
Right,
Like, what the hell?
You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, they're both. Side subject, but I've seen those pictures like in other parts of the world. Like, that's interesting.
You been back to Africa?
I've never I want to go. I want to try that. I want to go to every single country.
I feel like you're being there just based off Kweli.
I want to go there in real life. Like that's like my bucket list. I want to travel. I want to see the entire continent, every single part, no matter what. I just can't afford it right now. I mean, I can really fly home to Memphis to see my family.
In a couple years, just give it 3 years, and when you secure the bag enough, you'll be able to fly private.
Yeah.
Just February is Black History Month, right? Do you feel like a month is enough to say Black History Month?
It's not enough, and that's why typically you see the same stories. I love hearing about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and Ida B. Wells, who was my idol. But I feel like it needs to be expanded upon, and there are so many unsung heroes, not just here in America, but around the world. Like when I do my pitch, speaking of which, I talk about the History Channel, right? Because I like history, and if you do turn on the History Channel, you see the same stories over and over again about Bonnie and Clyde, or the whatever kid, I forgot his name, whatever. But the same type, or Bugsy or Benny Siegel. It's Bugsy Siegel. Benny Siegel's around, but not Bugsy Siegel, not Benny Siegel. But you hear those same stories over and over again. And it's really disheartening. There's so many stories outside of America that we can be celebrating when it comes to Black history outside of the U.S. So that's what I'm hoping that we can do with Kweli, where we can do that, 24/7, 365 days a year.
Man.
How do you pick the content that you air on Kweli TV?
So we have a submissions process. I will say that not all the submissions that we receive do make it on the platform. The film has to have been in the film festival #1. Myself and Giselle, she works with me. She actually is based in LA. We watch content to make sure it's in keeping our mission. We'll make sure that it's not monolithic or demeaning as well. So if
it's not ratchet.
It's not, sorry, no ratchet.
No ratchet TV.
No ratchet. Sorry.
No wars. I'm just kidding.
No war. Actually, someone said, you should have a World Star Hip Hop. Have you thought about doing that? Having a World Star Hip Hop channel?
Section?
Yeah,
Dang,
so actually, I was like, no, they're good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we may not be for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that, because we're not going to have, Real Housewives of whoever. We're just not going to have that content. I'm okay with that. So if you want that, then we're probably not the space for you. But
I
if you
think
want to see something different,
you found a need and you're feeling it so perfect and effortlessly.
Right. Although people have told me that we will not be successful because we don't have ratchet content. I've had people tell me that. Yeah, Black folks only want to watch ratchetness. Black folks only want to laugh. Black folks only... Really? And these are Black folks telling me this. Like, okay, Black folks, our #1 genre that people watch the most are documentaries. That's the #1 genre that people watch on our platform. So people are hungry and starving for information, starving for education, starving for learn about other parts of our culture outside of the U.S., and we're really bringing that to them. So I'm really happy about that. It's a lot of work, but, we're here.
It saddens me to actually see, like young men and women, pay so much attention on, ratchet TV.
Right.
And when a question, for example, they're going to turn around and ask you a question like, why do we even celebrate Martin Luther King?
You know what I mean?
I'm like, what? I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, you spend all your time watching Ratchet TV. You're gonna ask me such a question?
Yeah, that's
Well, am I supposed to explain this to you now? Like, come on, fam. Like,
Kweli TV. So you watched like all the submissions?
yeah.
We do. We watch all the submissions. We watch
How many hours of
Content do you guys
content
have?
have you watched?
I don't know. I haven't counted, but it's a lot. It's a lot. So, typically if it's like ratchet, like, 10 minutes in, like, okay, this isn't probably something that we're going to get, but for me, it's just important to make sure that we watch everything. Cause for me, it's all about the content, it's making sure that we're in keeping our mission. And we're talking about ratchet and people watching. I think that people want to watch other content. So, like, I haven't had McDonald's in a decade.
Man, shout out to you, fam.
I literally, like,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do it anymore. I literally was like, I can't eat this anymore. So, like, I used to eat it a lot because it's very cheap and, But, like, you eat McDonald's all the time, you kind of crave it. Now you couldn't pay me to eat it. When I walk by McDonald's, it stinks to me.
Sheesh.
So I think that...
She savage.
No, it to me literally stinks. It's saying, like, I don't actually eat fast food. I don't eat Popeyes. Sorry, folks.
Nah, yeah, I hit Popeye.
Yeah, but like, but if you feed yourself with fast food, you're gonna crave it. It's all you want. Once you start eating healthier, you're like, wow, I crave this. You don't want the other stuff anymore. So I'm hoping that I start feeding people more educated content. They like, okay, I only want McDonald's, whatever the equivalent of McDonald's content would be. They want something more healthy they can put into their brains. Like, oh wow, I'm feeding myself with this content versus what I was feeding myself with back in the day. So that's what I'm hoping for.
When you subscribe to Kweli TV, right? You get discounts on certain Black-owned businesses.
Yes.
How did you bring this together?
So, because like I mentioned, when I was 24, I worked for a membership organization, and you have membership perks. And so it's like, well, okay, yeah, it's great. People have like great content, dope films, but I want to offer a little bit more. And so that's when I came with the idea to try to work with small businesses around the world to offer discounts. Right now, we probably have maybe 10 companies, and we're adding new constantly. But yeah, just offering a way where people can also connect with small business owners of African descent. They can show off their goods and services. People get discounts. So you watch a great film and get like African ancestry. If you're an American, you want to figure out what your ancestry is, then you can go on there and get a discount to get your DNA tested.
Speaking of which, you just did yours.
Yeah, I
But
did
what
mine.
were the results?
I
beg say Cameroon, my Cameroonian sister.
No, sorry, no
Ish.
Cameroon.
So what was the result?
Gosh, it was like I'm an African mutt. I wanted to be like 80% something, but the highest percentage was like 20% was Ghana. The next was like Nigeria, it was like 23%, and then like next was Mali.
Everywhere.
No, it was Mozambique. Mozambique, some parts of Africa. So it was very vague. It's like either Mozambique or some parts of it's like parts of South Africa. That was like 13%. And there was somewhere in East Africa. It wasn't Ethiopia. It was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then like 8% European, mostly. Yeah, I was surprised.
Nah, just claim that Ghana.
Yeah. And 1% Southeast Asia. So
Sheesh.
yeah, but
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. I was like, oh man, I was hoping to be like 80%, and then like I don't know. But,
Nah, you
yeah.
black. I still love your
I'm
blackness.
black. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
black. I'm just an African mutt. I just want to be like, one area I can go there. I go to a lot of places. I have to go to a lot of countries in Africa.
What got you into communications and journalism?
Honestly, I've been into it since I was a kid. So I was one of those people, like, I love reading. I used to go to a library a lot. My parents have a lot of money, so the library is free. So I used to check out lots and lots of books and read them like religiously. And my dad, he's an avid reader, and he would get the newspaper. So after he would read it, I would read it. And I used to write short stories as a kid, and I had this dream of being a novelist. Like, that was my first dream. I was going to be a novelist, or I was going to work for like a teen magazine and write articles for them. And that's how I got into it. And so when I was growing up, back in the day, Anderson Cooper, I'm not sure if he, like Channel 1. So those are something called Channel 1.
Channel 1, yeah.
So I used to watch Channel 1. At the time, Anderson Cooper was on there. And I think Lisa Ling was on there too. And
Dang, she been around that long?
yeah, she's been around that long.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to be an international journalist. That's what I'm going to do. My mom was like, what are you talking about? International. You're not going anywhere. You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
country and get hurt, guns, blitz, whizzing by you. So it was like my initial dream was to be like an international journalist.
Lions and tigers and bears and
everything. So I went to college because, like I said, I wanted to be a writer, but reading up on a lot of writers, it's very hard to make money as a novelist. So I was like, okay, I can be a journalist and I can make money by writing. And so I did do that. I mean, in college, I worked for the school newspaper. I worked for a local paper at the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, Mississippi, and I worked for Oakland Tribune. Then I moved to DC area. So that's kind of how I got into it. I've always been really into news. Like before church, I used to watch Meet the Press before going to church on Sundays. I had dates I would tell guys on Friday nights, I want to watch 2020. Like I wanted to watch all this stuff. I was so into news and media ever since I was really young, and I just wanted to be engulfed into it. And I saw like documentaries, like truthful stories. I like seeing those stories.
Your thoughts on the new tax bill?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, right? It's actually really scary. I don't even know what to think. So my last show on Thursday, my radio show actually has someone on. He works for an organization called inequality.org, and he used to be an aide for Bernie Sanders. So, of course, he was definitely against it. The thing is, like, we're not really sure how it's really going to impact us. I think that's what's the scariest part about it.
Yeah, it's crazy that it passed the joint overnight when we sleep.
Yeah, I know. Well,
stay woke, folks.
Yeah, stay woke for real. And I mean, people talk about like what was happening like in the 80s and how they really didn't work out when it came to Reaganomics or the 1920s when there were these crazy tax plans that didn't work out and it caused this Great Depression. So my fear is that more people of color, more people of African descent, more people who are like Latino, whatever, they're gonna be in the lower economic status because of the tax bill. That's what I'm really fearful of. But that's why it's incumbent upon us to vote. It's really important for us to make sure that we're supporting Black-owned businesses because like my husband's dream for Kweli, like no matter what's happened with the government, because even no matter what happens with the tax plan, we're still least likely to be hired, even if we're qualified. We're still all these disparities still exist no matter what. When it comes to hiring practices or moving to certain communities and neighborhoods or selling our homes with redlining. So for me, I always tell people, we need to support our own. We need to make sure that we're in a space that we're supporting our own companies, that our companies can start hiring Black people, and then we can change the game. Because once we have economic status, then we can really make a difference. But we don't have the money to sort of like be like the NRA. Like NRA can do whatever they want. They can be, they can be Suge Knight kind of, bully their way in because they have the money. We don't have that money to do that right now.
Yeah, you familiar with what the Breakfast Club did with the Justice for Justice campaign that they did raise money for a couple of different Black organizations.
Yeah, I mean vaguely, but yeah.
So I was gonna ask if you donated, not to put you on the spot or anything.
Are we doing anything like we're raising money?
No, I'm saying I was just gonna ask if you were familiar with what the Breakfast Club did. I think it was dope what they did.
Well, so I was vaguely. I just kind of I'm one of those scrollers. I kind of but I didn't read a whole, but I kind of like scroll. But I didn't read.
Headline readers.
Yeah.
No, it's all like
share. Read the headline and share.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Libya, right? How do you feel about that?
It's very sad and depressing. It's we were talking this before we went live, and how Obama said that was one of his biggest mistakes. I think sometimes in America we want to come in like Superman and quote unquote save the day without really knowing what we're saving, what's really going on.
Yeah.
So I think that was a real big mistake on our part, and now we're really seeing the repercussions of what Obama did, and it's very discouraging. It's very scary, but I think there is some hope. The EU, AU, they had this resolution and try to get people out, so hopefully that will make a difference. And I'm happy that it's Black people getting Black people out. It's not some savior who doesn't look like us trying to save the day, but we're actually trying to solve our own problems. And I think that's the difference we're seeing now with this particular situation. And I'm happy that people know it exists, because a lot of times when things like this happen, when it comes to parts of Africa, it's totally ignored. And even if there is news coverage about it, people ignore it and don't care. But people are actually caring about it, and that's I'm happy about that. I'm very upset about what's happening, of course, but I'm glad that people are talking about it, because once you start talking about it, then maybe change will actually happen.
People post a lot about, pray for Libya or pray for, such and such. Do you think that's effective?
No, especially like the gun thing here in America, it really angers me. Like, let's just pray, like Vegas, and then the other one. Something else happened right after that too.
That was the guy in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah,
Texas.
yeah.
Texas, yeah.
Just it keeps happening. Well, we're just gonna pray. Okay, well, I think there needs to be more than prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad tells me this analogy and about this guy. He prayed like it was like a flood coming, and he prayed for God to save him. And so the flood wasn't that high, like they were like announcing it, and like it was like up to like his feet. And so someone knocked on his door, was like, "Hi, I'm here to to rescue you." It's like, no, God said He's gonna save me, right?
Man.
Yeah. So it gets like to his knees, and then someone like with the boat comes along. It's like, hey, you need to evacuate your house. Like this flood's gonna get worse. Like, no, God says He's gonna save me. This dude ends up on this roof, and there's a helicopter that comes. Like, this is your last chance. You need to come, or you're gonna drown. Like, no, God said He was gonna save me. Of course, what happens? He drowns, and he's like, God, you said you're gonna save me. He's like, I brought the car, I brought all the car, I brought the boat, I brought a helicopter. I brought you what you needed. He expected some type of divine, But I mean, it's an analogy, but the reality is like that's what
prayer and faith go together.
Prayer,
action,
we say prayer without works is dead, right? So you have to, for Congress or Republicans to say we're just going to pray, let God have His way. Yeah, okay, all right. You see what's happening? Like you have to actually make law. Like that's why you were put into this position to make change. It's not going to happen unless you do something. So it's extremely frustrating for me when you hear let's pray for whoever. Okay, well now let's take action too.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm sure that's what you do in Empower Hour, your radio show and Empower Magazine. What's the other top stories that you keep? They have the Harvey Weinstein and the sexual assaults, the Roy Moores, and all that stuff.
There's so much happening with this particular this administration. This time is every day. It's always like you watch CNN, breaking news like every 5 seconds.
It's somebody new.
It's too much to keep up with. But for me, like right now, not Kweli, but Empower is like on a break because it's too much to manage like two major companies. But I just want to make sure that people know what's happening and then try to figure out how can we make a difference because it can be very depressing. I mean, that's why I wanted to start a company in the first place because I was working for Daily News. You hear about these stories, you write about these stories, and then like you go home and you're depressed. Like, okay, what can I do to make a difference? So I really want to make sure that whatever I create is actually making sure that people can create change and you can do something about the issues we're seeing in the media. Like that's extremely important to me. We just can't be bystanders. Even if you retweet something or you volunteer or something, you donate some money or whatever, like do something. Just don't sit around and act like it's going to change without you.
Man, let's take it back to Kweli TV, right? All the content is black.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like why did you focus you focus solely on black just to show our culture, show the richness, and all that. But what really sparked that made you decide to do that?
So it's interesting. Last year I spoke at this film festival. I forgot, somewhere in California, and some lady from Sri Lanka. She was like, "I really like what you're doing, but my husband, he's Asian. Why don't you have an Asian this, or why don't you?" I only know black folks, right? I cannot curate. I don't know what a stereotype is for someone who's from Sri Lanka or someone who's Japanese or someone I don't know if you're white. I don't know. Well, I mean, maybe everything is for them. But like, if you're a person of color, I don't know what those stereotypes are. So I cannot curate content for you. I can curate content for people of African descent because I am black. So for me, I just wanted to make sure I was curating something that was different. I wanted to make sure that we weren't. So when I was in high school, I worked at Blockbuster, right? And I always tell people like Netflix is kind of like Blockbuster in a way. I mean, they do hand select some things, but they usually get stuff in bulk. So everything won't be great. If it's a black film, you're not watching to see if it's in keeping our mission. It's funny, Leon from Five Heartbeats was in it. He's a star, so we're gonna put it on, Netflix, right? I mean, that's sort of kind of what happens. For me, I just wanted to. It doesn't matter if someone is a celebrity. If the content is good, like that's what's important to me, and that's why I wanted to start this. Because like you hear these stories about these really great films from film festivals, and you're like, wow, it looks really awesome. That looks dope. How can I watch it? Oh, I gotta go to California, or I gotta go to somewhere in Nigeria to watch this film. Like that's the only way I'm gonna watch it. I had to fly to a film festival. That's the only way I'm gonna watch this film that I want to see. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally looking online because I had cable. I don't have cable anymore. I cut cable and I got Netflix. And I was looking for these really great independent films. I couldn't find them. It's like, wait a minute, you telling me that you can't find this unless I literally have to fly to a film festival? All right. Then I'm gonna do it. I was crazy. I'm crazy. I'm so crazy.
It's
I'm
dope.
crazy because
Yo,
it's hard.
I want to see Kweli TV get to that. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I'm gonna say the N word, the Netflix status, where it's you creating stuff like Netflix originals, Kweli TV originals. I'll be acting one of them things. You know what I'm saying?
Just to piggyback from what he's saying right there, like how do you deal with competition? Let's just say Netflix, for example.
Right. You can't. So I try not to deal with it. I mean, we have competitors. We have other streamers who are curating. Well, not I would say curating, but they're streaming Black content in other parts of the world and here in America. So I don't focus on it. I look and see what they're doing like one time, just see how we're different, and then from there. So like Oprah, she did this interview like back in the day. Someone sent to me. I guess like in the 80s at the time. Like I guess like in the late 80s. Like everyone had their own talk show. Like it was Donahue and Sally, Jesse, whatever. Like everybody had their own like talk show, and people would come to her every single week. So people come to me all the time. DeShuna has a new streaming service. I get I get flustered. Like, oh no, it's another person doing what I'm doing. So she was like, she used to do the same thing. She's like, I stopped, looking at these other platforms. Oh no, I stopped looking at these other competitors. I can't look back. I only can look forward. I can look at what I'm doing. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and do it right, we're gonna be successful. If I keep looking back to see what they're doing and try to copycat or try to change my mission because of competitors, and I won't be successful. So I just try to keep my eye on the prize. At this point, I try not to focus on it. Mm-hmm. But like I can't compete with Netflix. They have billions of dollars. I think they're going to spend $8 billion.
That's an engine right there.
They're going to spend $8 billion on original programming alone.
Mm-hmm.
$8 billion original. So we can't even compare to that. We can't even. Okay.
What's next with Kweli? Like just immediately speaking. Right now, what are you guys working on right now?
Right now, I'm just focusing on making sure we get as much content from these film festivals, because Netflix, they're obviously gonna be dropping the ball on that. If they're gonna be creating an original program, they're not concerned about the films from film festivals. So I want to make sure that we're the ones that they're doing that. So that's our main focus right now. We're going to start, we have an ambassadors program we're going to be releasing soon. So people who are of African descent around the world are going to be, kind of preaching the gospel about Kweli TV to their fans and to their friends.
What's your team like, and how did you build it? Yeah.
So the team is really skeleton right now. I have 2 people in LA. I have someone who's here in the DC area with me. And that's it. And me, like it's a very, very small team and interns to kind of help us along the way. But like I said, we've had team members come and go, mainly because it's hard. It's a streaming service, it's a startup company. We're bootstrapping, so sometimes people need to move on for the sake of whatever they need to do. So.
Right. How did you? Because I'm sitting right here, and I could say, "Yo, I want to start a streaming service." You know what I mean? Like, my initial, the first thing that comes to mind is, how do I even go about this? Who do I talk to? You know what I mean? Like, what are the tools I need? So how were you able to, put all this together? I mean, I know it's not something that, just happen in a day.
And now you're out of the beta version. Now you actually.
Yeah, you're right. Like I said, there is no how to start a streaming service for dummies. Like, it doesn't exist. So I did a lot of research. I mean, Netflix, they have their stuff on lock. They are not giving out the trade secrets on what they did. But there are a couple of websites that kind of gave some information on what they did. Okay, so I knew I can use a WordPress site. Like, I started like my magazine. You use a WordPress site and you just pay some money and pay someone and pay them a couple $100s and you have an online magazine. You can't, put a WordPress site with a streaming service. Like it's much more complex than that. So I really had to find people who knew how to build something from scratch with code and something I couldn't do. And that was pretty much my first step. And just, talking to a lot of people who knew about building something, whether or not it was a streaming service, just knew about building something that can kind of help me. And it was a lot of trial and error. A lot of mistakes. I spent a lot of money, spent a lot of time and energy on things that went nowhere because I had people on my team who probably know what they were doing the best that they could, but they never worked on a streaming service before. So they were like figuring it out just like I was. And so it's been interesting. It's been really interesting.
What's success for you?
Success? That's an interesting question. Success for me is just being able to change the world through media, make a difference, and change stereotypes. Success for me, people think success means like driving a Bentley and having private jets and all that type of stuff. I want to do stuff for my culture, you know. That's success. For my culture can be like, man, you know, DeShuna built something for us. Like, this is really for us. And she thought about us. She had us in mind when she did this, and everything that she's doing is for us. Like, that's success.
And passing that wealth down, family.
Passing the wealth down, exactly.
It's interesting you said that.
And sharing the wealth. You know, I think a lot of times people, they get wealthy and then they hoard it. To me, like, you can't take it with you.
Yeah.
You look at someone like what's his name?
Jeff Bezos.
Not Jeff Bezos, the one who Warren Buffett. He actually is donating. I'm sure Jeff Bezos donates all the money, but Warren Buffett is very open. You know, donating like 95% of his money to give back. I mean, that's what I want to do one day. Like, that's success. Giving back, making sure that my future generation, then those people I don't know that see me and like, wow, like, no, I'm giving back. I want to give back. I want to create more opportunities for people who look like me in different parts of the world here in the U.S. So I'm not the only one. If we get to that point, I don't want to be the only one. I don't want to be the only black person like in the Forbes. I want to make sure that other people are there with us, with me.
I'll work with Denzel, mentioned, I mean, like in the speech, he said, wealth, success is not how much you have. It's what you do with what you have.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of, I felt like that was pretty deep,
Yes.
So as we're winding down, saying all work without play, makes Jack. What do you do with your downtime,
I sleep, because I don't sleep that often. I probably get about 4 hours of sleep, like Monday through like Friday.
Yeah.
So on the weekends, I'm like The Walking Dead. I'm just like a zombie.
Is Kweli your full time?
Yeah, I do it full time. Okay. So I work a lot of long hours, and usually on the weekends I tend to sleep. And then because I watch so much content, I'm usually watching, catching up on some of the content I need to watch. I love to dance, so I don't go out that often. But when I do go out, like DeShuna out there,
You ain't take a sip of that drink since we started.
Well, maybe because I do my drink, but it's kind of loud, so I was trying not to.
No,
you and then when you're talking, you're like taking a break. So I was like, I'll just finish it.
Nah,
for all them kids, grown folks out there who want to, wake up, get off the couch, and start something.
I see you sitting on the couch and you did that commercial.
What advice do you have for them?
Get up, get out, and get some. No, seriously, because like I was in a rut back, like when I first moved here, I was in a bit of a rut. I wasn't totally happy with like my job, and I knew when like it was the first time in a magazine, and I was like, if you want to do it, you can't wait. I remember like you were like I think a lot of times when people want to create something, they're waiting for someone else to give like to bless them with it or give them the okay or think they need to be super and smart or have whatever. I'm a regular girl I'm a roundaway girl. Like I'm a real roundaway girl. I had like a C average in high school. Like I was like I was like the middle. Like I was in the middle. I was like B minus, C. I wasn't like the smartest kid. But I have a mean work ethic. So I would say just work hard. Like don't think I'm not the smartest person. I mean like my ACT score is like bad. I don't like telling people how bad my ACT score was. It was that bad. I'm not smart. I'm not say I'm not smart. I'm gonna say I'm not the smartest cookie in the jar, but I work really hard. So I tell people that, especially kids, because they think, oh, we probably like the valedictorian. Like, no, I was nowhere near. My best friend was a salutatorian in my school, but I was just a middle kid that, just had a lot of drive. And so just know that it doesn't matter how smart you think you are. Because like I know I'm smart because I wouldn't be doing this, but like I wasn't like the book smart in a sense, and so just get out. Like don't wait for someone to bless you. Don't wait for someone to anoint you to think you can do it. Just do it and then make it happen no matter what. Like don't feel like you're not not pretty enough. I'm sure I'm 5'3", I go to networking events and people like, you're DeShuna? I thought you'd be much taller. I get that all the time. So then you like
you're powerful. Like everything that you do is it's like it's out there and you just
I'm working on it. Like I said again, like even like that, like I try to just stay humble about that because it's a startup company. Tomorrow, anything. I never think, oh yeah, I'm killing the game. I'm not killing the game.
Yeah, your head start getting big and then you.
Yeah, I'm still at the very early stages. I'm still trying to build my brand. I'm still trying to build the company. I just want to make my customers happy. I'm beholden to my customers and my filmmakers. As long as they're happy, I'm happy, and that's where I am at this point.
How can people reach you on social?
On Kweli, so KweliTV. That's
Just like, don't even worry about me. Go Kweli.
yeah, don't worry about me. Yeah, I don't care about my Instagram getting big or my personal Twitter. I want people to go to Kweli. I don't care about that. I want people to subscribe. It's not about me. It's about the content. It's about my filmmakers. So, yeah, go to Kweli, KweliTV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We try to do Snapchat. I'm just, I can't.
Yeah, Snapchat is deep. It's another ball game.
It's another ball game. I need like a 5-year-old or something because I'm like, oh my God, I thought I could handle social media, but I can't handle Snapchat. So,
man, for those who are watching right now, right? Could you please just remind them? I mean, just tell them again about the subscription.
Sure. So they can go to Kweli TV. So it's www.kwelitv.tv. Sorry, kweli.tv. It's $5.99 a month, $49.99 a year. There's a 7-day trial, so you can binge watch us for 7 days, and then if you don't like it on the 6th day, you can cancel. I won't be happy. No, I'm joking. You can go you want, it's fine. But that's how you can watch us online. We have lots of content, like 200 titles. We add about 2 to 5 titles a week. So every single week we're adding new content. So it's like you go in there and then a month later it's the same stuff. We add new content constantly on the platform.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, and actually, the yearly subscription is $21 less than if you pay a monthly.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
okay.
so you get a discount if you do annual. So we'll take you anyway. We'll take you.
Hey man, support Black owned.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying. Black
yes.
excellence.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thank you for watching.
No, man. Yeah, like appreciate you coming through, and it's dope what you're doing. Like I said, shout out to Jason, man. We gonna get we gonna get Jason on Kweli. Of one blood. I just want to throw that out there. We can talk about it after the pod.
Yep. Thank you for making the drive out here. Much I appreciate it.
It was all good.
Yeah, come back. Come back and update us on how how everything is going. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Dope.
You're welcome.
Hey, can let them know how to reach us, man.
As always, you've been watching Stuck in the Middle, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to review our show. It's very important to us, the reviews you leave, on all social platforms. Update us on, guests through our email, SitM Podcast 237@gmail.com. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Next week, Sunday, we'll be sitting with Sterling McKinley, a digital marketing and consultant.
That's Saturday, right?
No, that's Sunday.
Yeah.
No, the next Saturday we'll be sitting down with the financial advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you won't be here, right?
No, I would not be here.
Man.
You ain't had to say that, man.
Yo, but anyways, man, as always, you've been watching Stuck in the Middle podcast.
And
we out.